Nick Cage! Well, I don't think I've seen Nicolas Cage have this many breakdowns on screen since the last Nicolas Cage film I saw, actually. Yeah, he's always like this, guys.
I'll be waiting.
Longlegs is the latest horror phenomenon that's not really a horror movie, it's more of an investigative thriller, but it kind of dumps out on being that halfway through. Maika Monroe, who is just the Dakota Johnson of horror movies, appears as an FBI agent who's just trying to catch this little serial killer, little classic serial killer, except he's making his victims, the fathers of the families, kill themselves and their daughters and wives. Yeah. Longlegs is the sort of film that's created by someone who had a really bad nightmare about Nicolas Cage being at his most Nicolas Cagey, and just thought, yeah, that could be the greatest horror movie of all time. And it's not. I think the premise is flawed there, because Nicolas Cage is mental in a way that some people would find scary, and some parts of it are scary, but some of it's just funny. There are times in this film where, like, he's just letting out these, like, screams, and he's going all weird, and he's doing all this Nicolas Cagey stuff. And I'm expecting him to be like, Nick Cage! And, you know, I'm finding it amusing almost at times, as he has these, like, incredibly weird, scary breakdown things. And while there are a lot of moments where he is genuinely really terrifying and really freaky and I think overall as a performance, it's so Nicolas Cagey that it can't be this true auteur cinema masterpiece horror thing that they wanted it to be quite. It's hard without spoilers to talk about my issues with the plot. It does kind of essentially start out feeling like it cares more about being an investigative thriller. It's got some real scary moments, really, ooh, fuck me moments. But in general, it feels like it kind of cares most about being an investigative thriller, dumps out on that halfway, and I'm okay with horror films where it's kind of like, oh, is this magic, or is this, you know, not? What's going on here? But the way it set itself up as such a grounded film, and then it starts introducing that, like, oh, what's going on here kind of thing, it rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't enjoy that aspect of it, and it kind of left it feeling like the film is going along one road, and you're kind of like, oh, it's approaching a junction. Which way is it going to go here? And instead, it just kind of veers off in the middle, and it's a bit confusing. It's a bit strange. It is a very interesting performance by Nicolas Cage. It's a very good performance by Maika Monroe in the lead, but the film, I can't figure out what it wants to be. It's also strange that they get to the point that the trailers didn't really hardly show Nicolas Cage's Longlegs, and there was this whole thing about Maika Monroe the first time she saw him freaking out because he looked so terrifying, so scary. And it's a minor spoiler to say that halfway through the film they do just like show a scene where he's just like walking around a grocery store. And I get why it suddenly evolves to the point where they're like, no, we're not just going to hide him, like we are going to show you him, we have to, you know. But also, it did feel like a weird shift there for me. It's a bizarre film. I can't tell at times what it wants to be. There is a lot of really impressive, really well done moments and great stuff in here. I feel like throughout the first half, it's got those really scary moments that you're kind of expecting, based on the whole, you know, viral campaign that they've done. And there's enough tension that you don't feel like you need any more than that of the actual jump scare moments. But the tension, it just kind of melts away in the second half of the film for me, and there's nothing. It's not terrible, but it just kind of doesn't feel like there's a lot going on after that point, and it just keeps evolving with more and more twists into this weird thing. By the end, you're just like, oh, instead of oh. Overall, I really appreciate what the film did. I really like a lot of what it did, but I just don't think it's going to stick the landing from that whole viral, oh my god, phenomenon, best film of the year, you know, best horror film of the year. I don't think it's going to stick that landing retrospectively. I think in a year or two, we're not going to look back and be like, oh, Longlegs is one of the best films of the decade or anything. I think it was a good horror movie, one of the better horror movies this year, in a year that's had quite a mixed bag. I don't think it's incredible or anything. So I'm giving Longlegs, Short Legs, Cardboard Box 3.5 stars. Nick Cage! Nick Cage! Nick Nick!